What's up guys, John Gray here, and today I want to talk to you about college. Specifically if higher education is the right decision for you and maybe for your children, because that's something that I'm seriously concerned with for when I have kids, so I thought I'd make a video on it. If you're like me and you grew up in a public education system, you were probably bombarded from the time you hit first grade with how college was going to be the big differentiator for you. People made it sound like if you didn't have a college degree, if you didn't pursue that actively, that there were very few options for you to be a productive member of society. It was as if you were destined to pick up trash on the side of the road for the rest of your life if you did not at least attempt to go to college. The question that nobody really bothered to ask though is that true? And to be honest, I think it's a question that people are going to start asking themselves a lot more often, especially because of the rising costs of college and how most of that money is being loaned out to kids who have no concept of financial responsibility and what it means to have to pay back tens of thousands of dollars. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that if you completed your college degree, you went for nothing. There are plenty of people who went to college and are using their degree and they're working in the field that they intended to. But there's even more people who are thousands and thousands of dollars in debt and will probably never pay it back, and they aren't using any piece of what they went to school for. Another thing that I'm noticing is that even if you are working in the field that you intended to, a lot of times that field doesn't pay enough for you to even service the loan that you borrowed in order to go into that field in the first place. So it's clear that we didn't ask the question up front, what was the return on the investment that we made in our education? Because if you're going to go into a field that is only going to pay you $30,000 a year forever and there's no upside, there's no movement, and you borrowed $60,000 to do that, what was the point? Let me be clear too, I don't blame the people who go to college because I was one of those people. I went for 4 years and didn't get a degree at all. So I believe the hype too. The reason that so many of us buy into this is because all of the corporate jobs, if you notice, usually require a degree. And not only that, they require experience on top of your degree. So it's clear that even the corporations have bought into this idea that if you finish college, that must mean you're smart. So many of us know people who finished their degree and didn't learn a thing. See, that's the problem with getting this piece of paper that says you completed something. It's not really a measure of if you know how to learn or if you actually learned anything. It just means that you were able to recite some things on a test in order to pass. And you were good at following instructions. You did the homework, and at least enough to pass the class, and you passed the final tests. Most of us know who are in the working world right now, there's a very big difference between test taking and applying the knowledge that you supposedly learned in college. It's perfectly possible that two people who have the exact same job, one having a college degree and the other one not, that they could end up in very different places, and actually having the person who didn't finish their degree or have a degree at all end up in a better spot because they learned how to learn. And I think that's what we need to be getting out of college if we're going to utilize it at all. We'll hear a lot of times people throw around stats around how much more people who have degrees make than people who don't. Well, you have to think about what that data means. A lot of people who have degrees are automatically considered over people who don't simply because they finished, not because they know anything more necessarily than someone who doesn't. It's just presumed that they do because they went through a program where they took tests. Automatically, their salary should be higher in theory because they're being considered for higher paying jobs in most cases. But does that always mean that they're smarter or more productive in the workplace? The reason that corporations go based on college degrees a lot of the time is because when you're a kid and you have no work experience, there's really not much left to go on. Like, you've never worked somewhere, you've never proven yourself, but at least when they look at the degree, they feel like you've completed something, so you're more likely to stick with it. And that's what concerns me about having kids grow up in the public education system. I don't want them to think that if something that they're really passionate about, which doesn't involve college, is something that they want to do, that they shouldn't, because the only real path to success is college because everyone has said so. Now, if they want to be a doctor, a lawyer, something in financial accounting or IT security, they might need to take some classes at least or get some type of certification. I completely understand that. They want to start their own business, or they want to start a nonprofit, or if they want to just be a really good salesman. There's certain things that you don't necessarily need to go to college for, especially if you're going to take a bunch of classes that have nothing to do with those things. You think about the financial side of this. There are people who are in their 60s, even 70s, who are still paying off college debt right now, and the average household income is $50,000 a year. In my opinion, just from the financial standpoint, that's not worth it. And a lot of those people aren't doctors, they're not lawyers, they're just average everyday people doing what they want to do, and they were told that they needed to have a college degree to do it. In a lot of cases, they didn't. It's bigger than just the kids going and taking out the loans for college, because the reason that they're doing that is that from every direction they're hearing that's the only way that they can go into the field they want to go into. The parents, the companies, everyone's saying the only way that you're going to get a chance here is if you get a degree. I'm afraid that my child is going to grow up in that, hear that, and want to do the exact same thing and make the same mistake I did. I went to college not even knowing what I wanted to do. And to be honest, for that amount of money, it was way too expensive to be figuring it out while I'm in college. I guess what I'm getting at is that I think it's way more important to teach my child to think instead of teach my child to take tests. Because if you've noticed, there are very few actual jobs that you have, even in corporate America, where you're just taking tests over and over again to prove that you know something. In the corporate world, a lot of times it's about application. And that's why, in my opinion, it's far more valuable to be able to critically think, because then you can problem solve in any area, in any expertise, not just the one you were taught to memorize. But you know what bothers me about college more than anything else? Nobody there talks about the things that are really applicable to being an adult. I was never given any class where I was taught how to file my taxes. Not a single person explained to me how interest accumulates either on your student loan or when you get a mortgage. It was really important that I learned about imaginary numbers and math. Don't get me wrong, if you went to college and you enjoyed the experience and you think it was all worth the money that you're paying back, fine. No one's mad at you. I ask that you honestly consider this. College prices are continuing to rise. And if nothing breaks down financially with that system before your kids are ready to go to college, prices on tuition are going to be sky high. Will it be worth it for your child to go to college because a corporation tells them that's the only way that they're going to be able to do business in the real world? I don't think so. Comment down below and let me know if your child doesn't want to be something like a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. Would you think that college is the best decision for them? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Remember, I'm just a college dropout, so according to most companies, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you guys in the next video.